Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys.
Yay, here we are again.
And by the way, Dr. Joe is safe and sound back up in home. Yeah, up in the Northeast. And so we were glad to have him with us for 6 weeks. It was awesome. It was like kind of like an old school pal being around and having a sleepover.
It was fun.
It was. This was our Patreon exclusive yesterday. Definitely a topic to be treaded upon lightly. There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on right now. And humanity is awakening to some things that perhaps it would rather not know.
I agree.
Yeah, I think, again, it's going to be a time of revelation in which whole belief systems will be reworked. And meanwhile, this is from Nick Sortor, the WEF founder Klaus Schwab has informed the board that he will be resigning. Well, he is getting up there, is he not? Or is it a sign of the times and the changing times? Because again, it's just, they're kind of like dropping like flies when you see the power structure that was in place externally, openly, all the faces from the Plague Upon the Land era, a lot of them are being turned over.
Yeah, I mean, it's something definitely to keep an eye on, because usually what they do is they'll fall away, but then they'll rebuild under another name. So we're watching.
Yeah, they do that. They also find new faces, younger faces to take things over. Meanwhile, the Secret Service with bomb disposal squads were investigating a possible bomb. Again, this was somebody that was targeted as suspicious, was carrying a suspicious-looking bag per se. This really shut things down over by the White House for a while. Tense times. And if we truly are on the beginning of some sort of enormous economic reboot, which we are, I think a lot of people would agree that we are in a reboot. But what's it going to look like on the other side? And then the interim time is going to be extremely tense. There was also an issue with somebody using a knife and attacking multiple people, and there were multiple people stabbed in D.C. as well. So you have a bomb thing going on here, and then you have a mass casualty stabbing, which seemed reminiscent of a lot of what we've seen over in the EU countries.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, it's ramping up. It feels like we're heading towards a crescendo. Amsterdam, here you have a car bomb that it did cause a fire, as you can see, but it didn't hurt anybody. And that's the biggest part of this, is that keep using your intention, keep using your positive energies. We're in a tough time period. It's going to be challenging. And just know there's a lot of craziness out there. There's all sorts of craziness out there. And some people, when you have these economic drop-offs, they'll lose their mind. They will literally lose their mind. This was interesting. The 7 largest Dow drops in American history. Yesterday was number 5. So number 5 over here. There's been worse Dow drops in other times. Now, you can look at this and say, wait a minute, they're all 40, they're all Trump, and this also has to do with where the Dow has shot up the most. When you look at where the Dow is, proportionately, this looks big, and it is big for people who are, invested in stocks. As the global rout in bank shares intensifies and recession fears are mounting, Japanese banking stocks on Friday are starting out, pretty bad. You can see these numbers, but it is relative. It is relative. I mean, I remember the Dow Jones being so much lower than what it is now. Having been born in the 60s, the drops are almost what the Dow was when I was born. So, it's all relative. Now, of course, we have a fiat currency, which is not pegged to gold. So, it really is all about confidence. Everything is about confidence. And when confidence is shaky, then, bad things can happen per se. But then other people look at it as opportunity. And that old saying, buy the dip. When you look to the Dow, it's just the biggest companies. It's the biggest of the big. And a lot of people have moved into the crypto world. And then other people are moving into gold and silver. Silver is definitely undervalued. And gold is at historic highs. I mean, gold has just skyrocketed. And again, there is talk that the next currency, be it digital or not, may be tied to gold. It bring us back on some sort of gold standard. If that happens, then again, gold is going to go even higher. So, again, this is for the experts. But then when we follow the experts, most experts, what happens? They have a particular mindset. It's just like anything. If you're schooled in a certain form of medicine, you're going to have a certain bias, if you know what I mean. Again, and the ability to think out of the box is key and critical. And I think sometimes, those with less knowledge have the ability to think out of the box a little bit easier. Just go by the feel the force, so to speak.
Yeah, I think people can do that, although the more information you have to feel that force with, I think is better. I think you can blend that feeling and information and knowledge and bring it together, and always keep in mind that you could be keeping yourself in a box. And I think as long as you maintain that thought and that understanding that, it's possible that, you could be in a box, just hold that, remain teachable, remain open. As soon as we think we got this and we understand how everything works, usually life throws you that curveball and says, oh, no, 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 no.
No, if we are to get out of the system, again, we have to be open to new ideas. And this is showing how Mitsubishi, the financial group, is down for the week 20%. So that is huge. This is a historic look, just again to take a peek at the Dow, and you could see that it has in fact skyrocketed. And where it was in 2016, right? That was a big election cycle. And then look at where it was in 2020. That's a huge increase. And then you have a dip, and then you have another huge increase. Again, this is representative just of the largest of the mega of the mega corporations. Now, as far as the tariff situation, Beijing's hitting back at the U.S. with 34% import tariff on all imports from the U.S. starting April 10th. So, here you go, a little tit for tat. I think, again, China is really what so much of this is focused on, because, again, China has so much of the manufacturing in the world, percentage-wise, that when we go back to World War II, why did the U.S. dominate post-World War II? It was mostly because of our strategic location, our endless resources, and our ability to manufacture. And now all that's kind of headed off towards China. Of course, we're still in the same location, per se. And Trump's looking to expand on that location and to secure more of that location with Greenland and potentially Canada. Again, this is all part of the much, much bigger scheme that's been spoken of for decades and decades, but we're actually watching it right now. We're actually watching it. The last UK blast furnaces, days from closure, as Chinese owners cut off crucial supplies. So there's a Chinese company that bought out British Steel back in 2020, and now it looks like they're going to end up closing it. The last steel plant in the UK will be gone. And when you think about that, what happened during wartime to steel plants? Again, what were they producing? All the weapons of war. So again, this just shows you how power has shifted. So again, with everything that Trump is trying to do, he's trying to maintain the U.S.'s place in this world as the leading dominant power. Of course, there are forces that move in the shadows that have all sorts of things planned out decades and maybe even longer than decades in advance. And so here we go. Army planners are weighing force reductions up to 90,000 active duty soldiers, reducing the Army. They're looking at trimming it to be between 360 and 420,000 troops, down from the current level of 450,000. This would be a big drop there as well. I would personally love to see peace break out all over. The U.S. has been used to be a military police force, again, for the real power structure. Everything, when you look at these discretionary budgets, literally half, some years more than half, is all about creating weapons of war. Again, we were warned by Eisenhower and Kennedy of the military-industrial complex, and that's something that has borne out to be very, very obvious for those that are watching, as far as they always get more than their share of allocation when we could be spending just a tiny fraction and eliminating hunger and eliminating lack of clean water in the world. Instead, it's all weapons of war. It shows you, again, the true goal of the system that we have.
Things just, they don't have to be the way they are.
No, we need real change. And the thing is, we are in the Bronze Age now, and in fact, we are getting close to that 1-year anniversary of when we left the Kali Yuga, which was the eclipse of April 8th, 2024. So April 8th, 2025, will there be some sort of event to mark that time? I would just be a little extra aware this week in general. This week feels like it could be very, very momentous. This month, absolutely. And you have a Space Force chief warning China's orbital tech is a destabilizing force. China's anti-satellite weapons and space capabilities are a growing threat, calling them a powerful destabilizing force. We do all training and simulation. We don't do live training due to policies in place. And he testified that their satellites could manipulate other spacecraft, posing military risks. Again, this is from Space Force. And, I remember the day when they went live with this, and a lot of people had a hard time believing this is actually real. But it's part of the getting us used to being part of a much larger society. After all, we're in the Bronze Age, and I would say more than anything, in a Bronze Age, we know we're not alone, and we will, have more than concrete proof. There's already been disclosure. It's just, again, minds that have been cemented shut with the indoctrination that don't see it. But yes, we've already had disclosure a long time ago, and the evidence is overwhelming. Poland inks $2 billion air defense deal with the U.S. Poland unveiled this week it signed a new defense deal with the U.S. valued at nearly $2 billion. More Patriot air defense systems and expanded logistical support. And Poland is actually spending the most proportionately in Europe this year. So they have a huge military buildup going on, but they also have a history of being kind of the first country that bears the brunt of the world wars. So, again, this is obvious sign of the times. And Russia warns against U.S. strikes on Iran nuclear sites. Catastrophic and illegal. So, again, Russia and China will defend Iran if Israel and the U.S. jointly attack Iran. And that would definitely be something that could trigger off that full-scale WW3. Meanwhile, Trump says the witch hunt against Marine Le Pen is another example of European leftists using lawfare to silence free speech and censor their political opponent, this time going so far as to put the opponent in prison, same playbook that was used against him by a group of lunatics and losers. And he goes on, again, this there really is no difference. When you look at the communist revolution in China, who was it funded by? The same people. It was funded by the most capitalist of capitalists, because again, it's all about control and it's all about power. And the Depression of 2026. This is an article from March 19th, 2012, saying that the Great Depression is coming in 2026. And actually, this may be. Maybe he's just missing this by a few months, but pretty darn accurate going back all the way to 2012, and talking about the circumstances and bubbles, and we all know. So it's very interesting to see, but then again, as we've said, these things have been forecast going all the way back to 1871. Kid you not. Meanwhile, here you have conspiracy theory no more. 10,000 illegals used the exact same Social Security number to vote in Arizona 2020 presidential elections. There's so much being uncovered. I saw an article where people were talking about AOC. I think it was her grandmother who had passed, was still getting $3,400 a month in Social Security, and it was being cashed by the family for years. Wow. Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's going to go back and do anything about it either.
Well, we shall see. Meanwhile, a drug for rare disease turns human blood into mosquito poison? Yeah, that's curious. Well, then what is it doing to the person? Right? That would be the first thing that I would look at and say, okay, what is this going to do to the person? Well, mosquitoes do have a different biology, but then again, we have to look at how things accumulate, especially when there's so many other variables coming in. So, this particular findings from the study suggests that nitinus-1, I guess that's how you would say that, or nitinusone, could be a promising new complementary tool for controlling insect-borne diseases like malaria. I don't know, man. If a mosquito bit me and just dropped dead, I would be worried about what's going through my body. I'm just saying, that's me. Maybe I'm just crazy.
Yeah, I would take a look at things.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we always go to the side of nature. Things like cloves, things like garlic, things like black walnut hull, and wormwood. These are indispensable.
Very good things to have on hand.
Meanwhile, Elon claims that there's going to be 10 billion humanoid robots that will outnumber people. Now, this says and invade Earth. Well, invade in a different sense. Elon's just basically saying that, hey, at $20,000 to $30,000, a walking, talking robot, you could have one too. Now, we don't have $20,000 to $30,000 to, go ahead and acquire one per se, but I think a lot of people actually will, and probably put them in positions of where you might have had other humans coming in to clean the house or something like that. Again, there's a new industrial revolution, taking place. Yeah, we see that, we get that. But at the same time, there's an awful lot of people going back to the past and homesteading and growing their own food and raising their own animals and trying to reconnect with nature. For Cindy and I, there's no way in the world we could live in a city. We're far too energy sensitive. I gotta converse with the animals, just like Dr. Doolittle. It's at least they don't argue back.
It's pleasant.
It is pleasant. So, but at the same time, I have to admit, ChatGPT is kind of fun to talk to. But at the same time, the programming is still very, very limited. And you could tell when you are on X and you get those notes, community notes, or when you ask ChatGPT a question, it's the same stock answers as if it's coming from Klaus or Ursula or any of them. It's like they're answering you. So, again, they're only as good as the programming.
That's true. We got to keep an eye on that.
Now, don't worry, but North America is melting.
Oh my gosh. Don't stress over it though.
No, and it's happening mostly, they say, in the Midwest. It's literally dripping and melting down in the mantle. So researchers have discovered cratonic thinning occurring beneath North America, driven by the remnants of the Farallon plate. So researchers have discovered that the underside of the North American continent is slowly dripping away in blobs of rock. The remnants of a tectonic plate sinking into the Earth's mantle may be the cause of this phenomenon. Paper published in Nature Geoscience describes the discovery, which was made at the University of Texas at Austin. This marks the first time craton thinning, has been observed in action. Wow. So again, cratons are ancient rock formations that make up the core of the Earth's continents, known for their stability and ability to endure for billions of years. However, cratons can sometimes undergo changes that affect their stability or lead to removal of entire rock layers. For instance, millions of years ago, the North China Craton lost its deepest root layer. What makes the discovery of cratonic dripping particularly significant, according to the researchers, that it's happening in real time. So they're talking about this. It's happening in the Midwest. Well, let's just look at this real briefly, as we still do have. We were talking about all the quakes up here in a slightly unusual place to have a 6.9. This is what we were bringing up yesterday, the Rajankis Ridge. You look at where it is, right across from Ireland and then across from Newfoundland. Very, very interesting to see basically a 7.0 up there. That's curious. We do see activity up there when there's been a lot of swarming in Iceland, but that big, that's something else. Now, when we're talking about the Midwest, what do you think about? Well, if we put the fault lines in there, still it doesn't really look like much, but of course, the New Madrid is what we're talking about. Interesting that I don't see it really popping out much here. Not like everything in the West, but the New Madrid obviously is a topic for a lot of discussion. And with this cratonic thinning just being brought into the news, I always have to suspiciously wonder if we will see a big quake in the New Madrid area, not too far off.
Well, it's definitely interesting and something to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I always look for the timing of these discoveries. Nothing is organic under such aluminum and barium and all sorts of other biological pathogens. You name it, it's up in the sky. That's true, but at the same time, why would we also have like an extra side, of some sort of toxin? It doesn't make any sense to me to not, you could take the opinion that, and some people do take the opinion that nothing's really organic. So, I just can't go there because, for one, we notice it as soon as we eat it. We absolutely notice it because we kind of eat a limited diet. We stick to things that we know are sourced locally. And we don't eat out at all. We haven't eaten out at all in a long time. And the one time that we did eat out, and it was a place that previously had been okay, it had changed. And so, Cindy was immediately sick and running with flu-like symptoms when it only happened when the one time we decided we'd risk something out at a place that we had okay experiences with. But, with, again, so much toxins being in the food chain and so much toxins just simply in the clouds every single day, in the rain, in the soil, everywhere you look. Again, there's toxins. It doesn't make any sense to me to just say, well, I'll take extra. No, what we need to do is to detox. I did a 24-hour fast yesterday, and immediately today I feel like so much better. It's just simply, it's something I think if you are able to intermittent fast or a more prolonged fast, which can be very hard, especially when everybody is getting so toxified, it can be more challenging, but it can do wonders. And it is really, I think, the simplest way to help your organs purge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The last time we ate out, and I was so sad because the food tasted really good. It tasted so good. There was nothing wrong with the flavor. It was our favorite place, and my body just says no. My body said, no, there's something wrong with that, and it kind of pushed back. So yeah, we buy organic, and if something does give us a reaction, we take note of that. So that's how we do it.
And we eat whole organic foods with simple ingredients. We put things together ourselves, everything from making our own barbecue sauces, spaghetti sauces, making our own breads, making everything that we possibly can make ourselves. We do just to eliminate the possibility of more things going in that we don't want, like these red dyes and all these different things. And yes, now there's legislation. See, if that was always just a CONS piracy theory, why did the legislation go in to make it illegal to put certain dyes in food? I mean, why do you have legislation in 32 states to stop the chemtrails? Yeah, again, the system has been so completely exposed for all that can actually see. And why, again, pushing the Roundup, pushing, places like ChemLawn and all these places that will come out and get rid of dandelions, because dandelions have so much to offer us. Dandelion root kills 95% of cancer cells. Yeah, absolutely. All the weeds, they're not weeds. The only weed really is the plain green grass that they teach us to cultivate. And again, hit us with the ego factor. Don't you want to have the best lawn in the neighborhood? How about having, the lawn that produces the most healthy food in the neighborhood?
Yeah, it's it's really sad because everything that's labeled a weed is actually quite medicinal, and we've been raised thinking the opposite, and that poor dandelion, had to take the brunt of it, being the poster child of things, like Roundup. It's really sad.
Yeah, this is a scary situation. This is a cruise ship going through the Drake Passage. And so the Drake Passage, in case you don't know, is a rough ride typically. That's down here. And when we look at this too, if you look underneath, it looks like something extremely huge came and hit the earth here and created this divot, like a massive asteroid or a ship or something. Some people actually believe it's the tail of a dragon or the head of a dragon. I've seen that brought up. But anyway, this cruise ship is going through this Drake Passage on the way back from Antarctica. Holy cow, what a hairy ride that would be.
Yeah, I think I would be a little bit, I would be having a little bit of fun and a little bit of fear.
Yeah, she'll be giggling. That's what she does when she's nervous. Look at these cuties coming in.
Oh my gosh, look at their little tails. Are like their rudders.
And proud mama. Absolutely, guys. We're very, very grateful for all your support. Thank you guys for your support over on Patreon. We couldn't do it without you guys. Please do leave a comment. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the like button if you like the content. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.